Welcome to the Lighthouse Financial Advisors Money Over 50 podcast with Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue. This information is general in nature and does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Therefore, you should consider whether the information is appropriate for you and your personal circumstances. If you require personal advice, please contact Lighthouse Financial Advisors. Here are your hosts, Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue.
Welcome to Money Over 50. Today we are going to answer the question, what is an account-based pension? Michael, what's an account-based pension?
Yeah, so we are in such a confusing industry, and this one's always, I see looks from people, and I've had some questions over the years where the term account-based pension is very confusing.
Yeah.
And the penny actually dropped one time when a client of mine many years ago, which another confusing part, it was actually called an allocated pension back then. So if you've heard the term allocated pension, and this gentleman said, so where do we go and lodge the forms with Centrelink? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, it's a pension. So like I imagine that Centrelink gets involved. Yeah. And I said, gee, that's amazing, isn't it? Because it hadn't occurred to me. Yeah. I knew it was confusing. Yeah. And I can see how confusing it is. So we use a few terms today, which will be, I guess, which will wrap it up, hopefully in simpler terms. So an account-based pension, the way that I would describe it, it's just your superannuation fund once you've entered retirement. Yep. So once you've either retired and have, assuming you've met your minimum preservation age as well.
So basically you can move your money from superannuation into an account-based pension.
Yes, you can move it at that stage. Now, you don't have to move it, so you can leave your money in superannuation. Yeah. And however, there is a tax difference. So superannuation, the rate of return that you earn inside your superannuation fund is taxed at 15% internally. Yep. You don't often see that tax come out.
That's I think something that a lot of people haven't really thought about or aren't aware about. Is that superannuation itself and an account-based pension, all these different things, they're just a different ownership structure. They're just a different way you can own assets. So you can own assets in your own name. You can own assets through a family trust. You can own assets through a company and pay 27.5% tax on the earnings. Yep. You can own assets through a superannuation fund and pay 15% tax on the earnings. Yep. Or, as we're talking about here, the holy grail is to own assets through an account-based pension and pay 0% tax on the earnings.
Yeah, so the difference is that superannuation is taxed at 15%, account-based pension, which is superannuation after you've retired, let's call it, is 0% tax. Now, people still get a little bit confused from that. We've used different terms, I guess different colloquial terms, and a tax-free trust is something that people tend to understand. So I tell them to think about an account-based pension as like having a tax-free trust
for a company.
And I think it's probably because traditionally people have thought of trust as a way to avoid tax. Yeah. So this is a legal way to avoid tax because it's purely legal. So you you accumulate money in your superannuation fund. It is the best place 99 times out of 100, if not 100 times out of 100, to accumulate your retirement savings is in your superannuation fund, because you have to get it into your super fund before you can move it into your tax-free trust, a la your your account-based pension.
I think often when I'm talking about this with people, especially with new clients, as to, like you're saying, over the last 10 years of your working life, for most of our clients, our focus is on get as much as you can into superannuation. It's concessionally taxed as it is, and then when you retire, we can move it across into account-based pension. You pay no tax ever again. And you can see people thinking, well, it's got to be a catch here. But if you think about, like most of our legislation, is everyone likes to rubbish governments and politicians and say they don't know what they're doing, but everyone just responds to incentives. So if you look at our government, what they really want is for you to be a self-funded retiree. So most people that have worked for 40 years they've basically they want you to build up retirement savings, and then live on your retirement savings until you pass away. So the whole point of this is that, and all of our superannuation system is designed around easing the pressure on age pension, so that you still have money. So it's not that you get to have a tax-free structure because out of the goodness of anyone's heart. It's because the government knows that if we don't give you a tax advantage, if we don't give you a tax-free environment here to hold your retirement savings in, you're going to spend that money, you're going to pay more tax, you're going to spend that money down quicker, and then you're going to have to be paid age pension. So that's really the point of what the government is trying to incentivise here, and what you want to take advantage of is that you've done the hard yards, you've paid your taxes throughout your working life. You then want to build those assets up, build your retirement savings up in this environment.
Yeah, that's right. So and that's why we're so conscious to make sure that while our clients are still working, both members of a couple are taking advantage of the $25,000 each.
Yep,
that they can put into superannuation, because hey, that drops their tax from 34.5% or higher down to 15% on that money that they get in, up to $25,000 each. And it's getting, that would mean nothing if you paid a lot of tax on the way out.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing here is that the day that they hit retirement, we can move that money tax free without much effort from superannuation into an account based pension.
Yeah.
Hey, it's even got the same fund manager on the piece of paper. So if you're with Colonial First State, for example, in superannuation, then you can move into Colonial First State account based pension with very very little fuss. Generally, certainly no transactional costs, and definitely no tax. So it's really one of those things. It's a double whammy to take advantage of all the tax savings you can up to the point in time where you retire, and that's best done by making sure you get all the money into superannuation that you can claim as a tax deduction along the way, and then you flick the switch effectively to move into that 0% tax.
That's, I think, what's a bit confusing for people is that you actually can't contribute money directly into an account-based pension. So the money has to go into into superannuation first, and then be transferred across from a superannuation account. And this is, I think, the thing that throws people a bit is that there's tax savings the whole way along. Is that as you just said, for most of our clients, we're talking about getting money into super before tax. So the money that you put into super from before tax dollars, you pay a 15% contributions tax instead of 34.5% or 39% income tax. So you pick up a bit of a saving there. Then you've got that money invested through your superannuation fund, which you're in control of how that money's invested, how hard it's working for you. You're paying a 15% earnings tax on that money while you're still working, again, instead of a 34.5% or 39% income tax on the earnings. Then at the very end, you get to move that money from your superannuation fund into an account-based pension, and the two parts to that are that you pay no tax on the earnings of that. So the 0% earnings tax, doesn't matter how much that return is over time. There's no tax on that, and then any income that you draw out of that after age 60 is completely tax-free as well.
Yes, yeah. So there's different times when people may access their superannuation. It's all being pushed towards age 60 though, depending on when you were born. So for the purposes of today's, to keep it simple, we assume that anyone we're talking about in these examples have attained the age of age 60 and then they've retired.
Yeah.
And from that point on, as you said, Dallas, an account-based pension, the internal rate of return, 0% tax on whatever the money earns, whatever your money makes inside of there, 0% tax. Versus 15% tax with superannuation. So if you left your money in superannuation, which you're within your rights to do, you'd be paying an extra 15% tax. And if you cashed it all out and invested in your own names, you'd probably be paying a bit more tax than that as well. So, so for most people,
I guess
there's an individual limit as well now, which is 1.6 million per person. So as a member of a couple, you can have up to $3.2 million in account-based pensions. If you've got more than that combined, look, it's a really good problem to have.
Well,
but you can leave money in superannuation at 15% tax. So Yeah,
and that's the sort of thing where once when you said before about 99 times out of 100, you're better off having all of your money in a pension account. Pretty much anything that you can have in a pension account, you should have. If you've exceeded, like you said, if you've got that great problem to have where as a couple you've got more than $3.2 million in retirement savings, then you've got a decision to make of should I leave the money in superannuation or should I invest in my own name? But if you've got that money in a pension account, you're paying 0% tax. You can't pay less than zero.
Please use account-based pension.
Account-based.
Confusing. I guess an abbreviated term we refer to as a pension account.
Yeah.
But that's really confusing
Yeah.
for people because and it would be confusing for me as well because I'm thinking, is the government involved there?
No, you're right. In your account-based pension. So whatever you can get into an account-based pension, it's 0%. You can't pay less than 0% tax.
No,
you can't pay that. That is the ideal.
Yeah. And the word pension, we've spoken a lot about it in the last minute. Now, why the word pension is involved is there is a mandatory income requirement to take from this. So it is designed to pay you an income, a tax-free income or pension, if you like. Yep. And depending on when you're depending on what your age is, then the amount will change.
That's a good one. It's not magic. You know what I mean? Why you have to? If you think about how our government, our government wants to tax us, is that what they don't want is people building up, $20 million in an account-based pension and then leaving all the money in there and never getting another lick of tax out of it again. So they basically say that you've got to set it. You've got $1.6 million. That's the maximum you can get into your tax-free account-based pension. Yeah. You have to draw an income out of that every year.
Yeah. So if you're 65, so the percentage-based drawdown for a 65-year-old is 5%. Yep. So same example, $1.6 million in there. You'd have to draw $80,000 a year as an income. Yep. Not to say that you have to spend that. No. So that's, I guess, a misconception. You don't have to spend that, although you'd probably find it, unless you had a partner with another 1.6 million, you'd be drawing $80,000 tax-free income each. You'd find that if you were just drawing $80,000 a couple, you'd probably spend most of that money, if not all of it. You might save a bit of it. And so it's tax-free, the income that you draw, provided that you're over 60. In this case, you are. We're talking about a 65-year-old in this example. And the internal earnings or the rate of return internally is also tax-free, which adds quite a bit. So we look at the same investment strategy of a superannuation fund where the earnings are taxed at 15% versus an account-based pension, the same investment strategy. The returns after tax with the account-based pension tend to be around about 1% higher per annum, which is the tax differential. So I mean, if the super fund earned an 8% rate of return after tax, that would mean the account-based pension earns a 9% rate of return, roughly after tax in most years. It's sort of one of those things that when you break it down to dollar terms, it becomes a huge. If you look at someone who's got $1.5 million in superannuation and they move it across into an account-based pension. Again, in that next year, if they got a return of $100,000, they would have had to, through their super fund, if it was still in their super fund, they would have had to pay $15,000 in tax. Yeah, that's right. And this is one of those things that, because that happens behind the scenes, you don't see it. It's sort of done automatically. Yeah, so you don't often see the tax. I've never seen the tax deducted on the earnings from a superannuation fund, and the reason is that everyone's tax rate's the same. Yeah. So it's 15% in superannuation. So what happens is that again, all you will see is a declared return of $85,000. Yeah, you won't see you earn $100,000. The gross return of $100,000, and then you were taxed $15,000. So people aren't often aware that they're paying tax inside superannuation because it's not itemised there. Yeah. And one that I want to touch on with the account-based pension as well is there's a bit of a technical ruling with this as well, is that we're talking about, for most people, when you can first access an account-based pension is once you're fully retired. But there is a little wrinkle in the rules where
if you're over age 60 and you cease an employment arrangement, you can actually transfer straight into an account-based pension, regardless of whether you're still working or not.
Which is a big advantage, because you could be planning to work in some capacity to 65.
Yeah, so fully.
You've just turned 60.
Yep.
And you could even have 2 part-time jobs, for example.
Yep.
And if you cease one of those,
yep,
and still keep working in the other one,
yep,
you've technically met a condition of release.
Yep.
For your super, so you could move your superannuation that you have then, pretty much all of that balance into an account-based pension, and then for the next 5 years,
you're still working, you're still
before you would traditionally be able to move it into an account-based pension.
Yeah, you're just picking up that extra.
You're
return.
picking up an extra return in the tax savings, in the form of tax savings. Now, sometimes people don't understand that you then have to take a minimum income from that.
Yeah.
And it's hard for people to understand that, hey, the strategy of saving the tax is completely unwound if you go and spend that money.
Yeah.
That you have to take as a minimum income, so you can funnel it back into your superannuation fund.
Yeah. So it's it ties back. It gets into very sort of technical territory there, but there's a few different ones that you can actually look at. Yep. If you've turned 60 and you've changed jobs or ceased any sort of employment arrangement, there's actually some really creative stuff you can do around. You can pull money back out of your super fund and contribute that, and you can pull money out of your account-based pension and contribute that back into super. You might be able to claim a tax deduction for some of it, as we just talked about.
Yep.
In addition to that, we did a podcast recently about minimising an inheritance tax. So you can actually pull money out of your account-based pension, recontribute it to super, and you change the tax treatment of that money when you pass away, and it goes to your adult children. So I won't go into that detail because that's a whole thing in and of itself. But it's a really if you are over 60 and you're thinking about changing jobs, this can actually make a big difference one way or the other. You really need to have a look at it and go, well, even just from changing, even if I change jobs, cease this employment arrangement, start again, I could be on the same income doing the same sort of role over here.
Yep.
But the tax saving you can pick up and some of the other advantages you can use with those different strategies, it can actually make it worth your while to, even if you were to go into the same job. But what we see a lot of is people after age 60 where they go, I've got 5 years to go, but I'm really sick of this role or this part of this job that I'm doing. And they want to change and do something potentially slightly lower paid. This is a good way to go. How can we change your work so that it's something that you're going to enjoy for the last 5 years of your working life, but we're picking up some tax savings here so that you're not negatively impacted financially by that. Yeah,
look, and it's a silver lining for people that are offered a redundancy, which people traditionally see as a negative thing. So despite the fact that they're going to get paid X amount from the redundancy, depending on how long they were working there, they sometimes go on to a lower paid job after that. But when you couple that with the fact that the savings inside by that stage their balance is quite large, and they could be saving anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000 of tax, which is I guess if you look at it as a way to supplement their income or the lack of their income internally. So
that's right. Between the actual redundancy payout and the ability to change the tax treatment here behind the scenes, makes a big difference.
Yes, and I just want to make something clear because another question that I've had in the past as well is with the word, and I think this springs from the word pension. Is another client of mine asked me, do I still get to invest the money where I want to be? Able to invest it. And I said, absolutely. And again, I think it was because of the word pension.
We think of it as
just
a money that you get
or an income stream. So the money that you have accumulated in superannuation stays invested, and you can choose to invest that within reason wherever you want to. So you can choose X percentage of Australian companies and X percent of global companies and X percent of cash and fixed interest. So whatever balance, it actually has and keeps a behind the scenes balance. And that's been confusing in the past as well because it does pay you an income stream.
Yep.
One of the disadvantages of that is
Yeah.
that if you take too much income from that,
you
can run out of money.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. Is your ability to, like we said, you're in control of that money and how you invest it, which is a double-edged sword in that money can be working for you and growing for you, compared to like a defined benefit pension or a pension from Centrelink or something like that. You've still got that money. You've got it growing for you and working for you.
Yep.
But you then need to be in control of how much income do you take out, how much do you spend, and making sure you don't run out of money.
Some of the downfalls that I've seen with people are that they treat it then as a bank account. So anytime they have any friction point in that
it's so easy to go straight to the...
It's so easy to get it because it's tax-free,
Yeah.
and you can take sporadic incomes as well. So there is flexibility of income.
Yeah.
Example that we used before, $1.6 million, $80,000 of income per year at the minimum 5% if someone was 65.
Yeah.
It can be taken monthly.
Yeah.
It can be taken fortnightly.
Yeah.
So you could you could split that $80,000 up into 12 monthly payments.
Yeah.
Where I've then seen people fall afoul, I guess, is that they've done that, and then once a year they might sneak in and ask for a sporadic payment of $20,000. And then all of a sudden they've done that for 3 years, and they're starting to head backwards.
They're chewing into that.
So they're $1.6 million. Ideally, in the best case scenario, that's going to grow from 1.6 to 1.7 to 1.8 to 1.9, even though that person's drawing 5% of the account balance out. If you start to jump in there and grab too much money from there sporadically, what you can see is that the balance starts to head south, which is dangerous. So that's one of the dangers. The advantages, of course, are the tax-free rate of return internally. So no matter what your money makes inside, and if we look at let's say an 8% average rate of return for a growth or higher growth strategy, $1.6 million. What that means is that $128,000 of internal earnings, or your let's call it your money making money. Now, what's lovely about that is that income, or that money that you've made from your $1.6 million internally, $128,000, no tax to pay on that. Compare that to just 1 year before. If you were on a $128,000 salary, let's average this out. You'd lose $28,000 of that in tax to bring you back to $100,000. So they're the advantages. The tax side of things is tremendous, and a tax saving. We love Dallas because we call it free money, and we call it a guaranteed overnight rate of return. You can't get a guaranteed overnight rate of return.
And as you say, it's a victimless crime, Michael.
And it's a victimless crime as well. We're 22 minutes deep into this podcast. I'm assuming that anyone listening from the ATO might have
clocked off
by now. No, I say that with tongue in cheek. They're happy with this strategy. This is black and white legislation. So and this is just us knowing the rules, and knowing how to take advantage of the rules, and operating perfectly legally inside the rules.
This is what's I guess for most people, and this is why we exist as a business, is that the point we're trying to make here today, and even when you're talking about the balance behind the scenes, and you are in control of how much you take out running out of money, is that I guess what we're big believers in is that you're in control of your retirement. You know what I mean? This isn't a black box where it's this isn't Soviet Russia where there's some government that you go to some department and they give you an answer and then it might be right or it might be wrong. These are the rules. We have the framework for. This is the system that we have. We have the rule of law. This is what we have to operate within. You're in control of what you do within there, and that's, I guess, it's the pro and the con is that what your retirement looks like and what you do with your retirement is up to you, and you're more in control of that possibly than what you think. So the downside is that if you don't make those choices and you don't take advantage of all these things, you're not going to be able to have the retirement you want.
Yeah, that's right. I guess hopefully that's cleared things up a little bit. And I think the word pension being involved in that term is the most confusing part, because it does tell me. I guess it does hint at government involvement. Does hint at centralised control via Centrelink. or it does hint at the other form, which is an annuity where you lose the the investability
capital,
and access and things like that.
Yeah.
So I guess in wrapping up, there are some ducks to get in a row when you're doing this, but for 99 out of 100, if not 100 out of 100, they're best off accumulating money for their retirement inside their superannuation fund, maximising tax deductions along the way, and then flicking that switch and moving that straight into an account-based pension at retirement. And then there's some challenges there, of course. One of the challenges is that not to be careful not to access too much of the account balance, especially too early in your retirement as well. Because you can run out. Which is we won't get into the debates which we do about the best drawdown strategy in retirement. That's a whole topic in and of itself. We have addressed that in some of the podcasts, and we've just had continued debate round 15 of another debate over that. Which is, this is good because what it means is that there are decisions to make, and we can't even agree on all those decisions internally. Right. And certainly we're not saying that either of us have all the answers. But there's just so many different decisions to make. So we love to take on that responsibility for our clients. Put it that way. So we love to have that outsourced to us. So if you are listening and thinking that you need assistance, we'd only be too happy to speak to you. You can get in touch with us at Lighthouse Advisors with an ERS.com.au. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Money Over 50 podcast with Lighthouse Financial Advisors. We look forward to catching up again soon.